Hello, everybody. I'm Kristen. I'm the founder of Happy Hour Effect. I help organizations spin stress into success for their employees to boost the bottom line. I'm a best-selling author, speaker, widow mom, and coach. So I'm going to tell you a little story today, and it starts with a caveman. Now, once upon a time, there was this caveman, and he lived in a neighborhood where things were pretty stressful. He knew true stress because every time he left his cave, there was a saber-toothed tiger. And that saber-toothed tiger was out to kill him. So that caveman knew that he had to either fight that thing, kill it, or escape, or he was dead. Now that is the perfect annoying neighbor, right? Now, the great thing about this situation is the caveman also had a system right inside of him, the fight or flight response, that mobilized the saber-toothed tiger. And what that system did, it boosted his heart rate, it elevated his blood pressure, and it really just got him ready to fight that saber-toothed tiger. He'd fight it, things would go back to normal, back to hunting and gathering. Today we've evolved. We have evolved as a society and as humans, but we still have a prehistoric body that is being prompted into that fight or flight response regardless of not having a saber-toothed tiger around. Traffic can prompt a bad day at work. There's a lot of things that can kick that fight or flight response off in us. And when you look at all the stuff we juggle, you know, the saber-toothed tiger was a one-time deal. We've got so much stuff building up. Job stuff, big-time stuff like loss, health stuff, bad hair day even, that can really push us into a bad day, right? And what's happening is our bodies never get back to normal. We're flooding our bodies with stress chemicals all the time. Stress chemicals are doing damage in the process. They're damaging us down to the very cellular level, damaging the cell walls, leading to silent inflammation, which is the root cause of every degenerative cause of death in the United States. You'd think that that would be enough to kind of scare us, but it's not. You look at our broken food system, smoking, obesity crisis. Every day we are willingly, knowingly putting ourselves in harm's way, causing massive damage to ourselves, despite what it's doing to us. And why would stress be any different? You know, you wake up in the morning and you're stressed out, you don't feel great. Headache, stomach problems, you don't want to go to work, irritability, maybe you didn't sleep very well. You'd think that would be enough to say, oh gosh, maybe I should do something about this stress that's building up. But the fact is, it's just not. What about weight gain? Part of the fight or flight response is to hold on to fat. Our body thinks we might need that to fight that saber-toothed tiger, that energy source. But with the obesity crisis, we see that even weight gain isn't enough to prompt us to say, ooh, I should do something about this stress in my life. So we continue to gain weight, we continue to be stressed out. How about aging? Stress is directly linked to the speeding up of the aging process. Makes us look less attractive. Even though research shows that when you look good, you feel good, you look good, people perceive you more positively. But stress is not helping us out, doing us any favors in that area. But yet, that isn't enough either. Aging faster, not looking as great as we could or feeling as good as we could. That doesn't matter either. What about life-threatening disease? That silent inflammation I mentioned earlier, that is directly linked to the 6 leading causes of death in the United States. And yet, the fact that we could die because of this high-pressure, high-stress lifestyle isn't prompting us to change. What is wrong with us? Okay, so all of us in the room, entrepreneurs, business people, you've all dealt with the bee in cubicle 23 or the jerk salesperson. That's at work. We've even been those people. And if you're bringing negativity, crankiness into the workplace, it will affect your career success and your financial success, guaranteed. But is that change? Is it? How about divorce? The divorce rate is still 50%. Stress directly contributes to that. The stress over kids, money, jobs. And even though we hurt the ones we love the most when stress is upon us, knowing we're inflicting that pain still isn't prompting us to change. All right, how about the healthcare system? We all know that think about the drain that it has on the economy, because 2/3 of office visits by adults to family physicians are for health and stress-related symptoms. 2/3. So think about the medical waste. Think about wasting cars, the time lost from work. All of this stuff is building up. It's constant pressure that we're under. We've got beeping phones, we're on screens, we're always thinking about what's next, what's after this meeting, what's after work, what's tomorrow, what's next week, what's next year. We never stop to say, What's happening right here? What do I need to really focus on to reach my goals and to be successful? Really, when is enough enough? All of that stuff building up. When are we as a society going to realize that this high pressure, high stress lifestyle that we're living is not doing us any good and really putting our safety, our health, and our world at risk? When is enough enough? You have a choice to make right now. Every moment, you can decide how you're going to take that next step. You can make a better choice, a new choice to not live that stressful lifestyle for yourself, for your loved ones, for your career, and for the world. It's a big, big deal that you learn to take those stressors, those things that paralyze you sometimes, spin them from a roadblock into a turning point to have you move forward in a positive way. Because everything that you're putting out into the world, it's a domino effect. If you're crabby, the people around you are crabby, and vice versa. It's all a domino effect. So you can continue to live that work-life balance, which is a big, fat, ugly myth, where it makes it seem like everything should either fit into 50% work or 50% life, and it's just going to be perfect. Or you can change your mindset. You can switch from that 50-50, when really we're at like 1,000%, right, of everything that builds up, or you become a maestro. I call it the maestro mindset, where you're deciding at any given moment what's going to rise to the top. Just like a conductor of an orchestra says, French horn, you're up. Everything else behind the scenes, we're doing the exact same thing every moment, and it's up to you to choose wisely. What's rising to the top and what else is playing on? So now, your moment to decide, are you going to ignite that stress bomb, keep living that way, pushing that negativity into the world? Or are you going to choose the path of calm, stress, because you can be that hero that saves the world, because everyone around you, it's a ripple effect, and they are absorbing everything from you. So I ask, is saving the world enough for you to change that high-stress lifestyle?
Thanks so much, Rick. Thanks, all of you. So my name is Joe Savaggio, and I'm excited to share some information about an organization I founded 7 years ago. It's called Microgrants. It's an innovative solution to poverty. And poverty is a big problem in the United States and right here in Minneapolis. The poverty problem, the number of people living in poverty in this country has been increasing for some time. In fact, in 1999, only 1 in 5 families lived on the poverty level income, but today it's more than 1 in 4 families live in the city in poverty. Poverty is a cycle. It's the lowest income group. There's 42% chance that a child's income will be the same as his parent. But moving up just one bracket, children in the second lowest income will have only a 23% chance of remaining in that bracket as an adult. So why is poverty a cycle? People in poverty have low income, low assets, low education. They have a lack of capital and in-demand skills. They have a lower capacity to generate income, which leads to lower economic and health risks and leads to more debt and low income. How do you break it? Employment is the key, and giving inheritance is also helpful. So when we help people break out of poverty, if we help the parents, we actually help the children. So this is where microgrants comes in. All microgrants are focused on employment. Money is spent to help individuals get and retain better jobs. And the other area is small businesses. It allows people with limited means to be self-employed. What is microgrants? It's a regular nonprofit. It gives $1,000 grants to low-income people of potential to boost them to self-sufficiency. It's not just another poverty alleviation program. Instead, it gives people a one-time empowerment boost to spur long-term wealth creation. How does it work? We work through partner agencies. As you can see on the screen there, these partner agencies do 3 things. They recommend the potential grantees to microgrants, they coach the grantees on how to use the money, and they follow up to measure the outcomes and the results. And they do it all for free because it's in their self-interest to receive $1,000 grants to help their people get better. We work in 3 areas: education, transportation, and small businesses. The education is things like a certified nursing assistant that only costs $1,000 to go to school, car repair, or inventory of a business. So who lives in poverty? Mostly female heads of household, African Americans, and children have the highest poverty rates. While children make up 26% of the population, they represent 45% of those that are chronically poor. African Americans are also high in that. Microgrant recipients represent these demographics. 75% were minorities, 40% were African Americans, and 60% are women and single parents. Let's see, 96% of education grantees completed their, were on track to complete their degrees. 93% of transportation grants still had a reliable vehicle, and 79% of business owners are making a profit or on track to do so. Adrian, next slide. This is Adrian with XL feet or extra large feet. His mentor is here from MITA, Yvonne Cho. We gave him a micro grant so that he could, by the way, when he was 16, he had size 16 shoe. But he rocketed to 6 figures with our grant and now has a bricks and mortar store. Ian Story, he's a mushroom guy, Mississippi Mushroom. He was only selling 20 pounds per week, and with our help and MITA's help, NDC's help, he got the 400 pounds of mushrooms per week. The grant kept him solvent and growing. Why fight poverty? It makes economic sense. Economists estimate that child poverty costs America $500 billion a year in the U.S. and raises health and crime rates. And they usually just give entitlements, but ours is empowerment. So everyone lives better if we give the grants. It's unique. We give cash grants, we go through the partner agencies, which is unique, and the impact on the communities stays here right in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis and St. Paul. So I think Betsy should come up at this time. We believe it's important for microgrants to evolve and improve. The past year, microgrants has adopted a new evaluation program, and with Marcia Ballinger from Keystone Search, we were able to hire a new president, Betsy Buckley, behind me here, who's going to take over January 6th. I think we even have a picture of Betsy in the next slide, right? Do we have that? Okay, good. And there she is. Yay. And she'll take the last slide.
So, you know, this has been a dream of mine all my entire life, and I can't think of a better way at this particular season in life to be doing something that I know helps people of potential make a difference. You see Asim's picture there, you see Barbara's picture there. These are only some of our grantees, and if you want to think about a gift of your time, a gift of your treasure, learn more about us, just go to our website, microgrants.net. For those of you who don't buy a lot of those things, the net is cheaper than the org. We'll be standing at the back. November 14th is Give Minnesota Day, and I'm going to talk to you about it later because the next person is up.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Marnie DeWall, and I'm an attorney in the employment law group at Lindquist and Venom. So what that means is I help employers with advice and counseling regarding their employees, and when unfortunately things go wrong, I also defend them in litigation. So I'm going to talk today a little bit about the art and the science of terminating employees. And believe me when I tell you, it is both an art and a science. So where do you start when terminating an employee? Ideally, you start at the beginning of the employment relationship. Things often look very rosy in the beginning, but you have no idea how things are going to end. Even the most promising employee can present a significant challenge at the end of the employment relationship. So, what should you do? You should start employment by setting forth the terms and conditions of employment in writing. Not about the pants specifically, but there is a Minnesota statute that says if you don't set forth the terms of condition of employment in writing and there's a dispute down the road, you, employer, have the burden of showing what the actual terms and conditions of employment are. So put those in writing. How do you do that? I generally recommend putting those terms and conditions of employment in an offer letter. That offer letter should specify the compensation, that employment is at will, that an annual base salary doesn't guarantee employment for any particular length of time, and you should also include a copy of any non-compete, non-solicitation agreement you want the employee to sign. Now, to effectively terminate an employee down the road, you have to manage that employee during the employment process. The first rule is that you always give your employees constructive feedback. Orally is fine, but the time of termination is never the time an employee should first learn about performance concerns that the employer has. Performance becomes more of a concern, you should document in writing the concerns with the employee. This can be in the form of a memo, and the memo should go in the employee's personnel file. And make sure that you are being very careful of what you put in and keep out of the employee's personnel file. Then you should sit down with the employee and discuss what is in the written memo. If performance becomes significantly subpar, you may want to consider putting the employee on a performance improvement plan, or a PIP. A PIP is a written document setting forth specific issues and specific requirements for improvement. This can be a 30, 60, or 90-day period, or some other period that you choose for the employee to work on improving their performance. It's very important that the employee understands that employment remains at will during the PIP period. You can terminate at the end of the PIP period if the employee doesn't improve, but the employee should also understand if they do improve and performance later declines, you can terminate the employee at that point as well. If you decide to terminate, you need to consider several issues in order to avoid litigation, or at least to put the company in the best situation to defend against potential litigation. Even if you do everything right, an employee still may sue you. So you want to make sure that you're putting pieces in place to protect yourself in the unfortunate event of a lawsuit down the road. In general, as I'm sure most of you know, employment is at will. That means you can terminate the employment relationship at any time, with or without notice, and with or without cause, with one exception. You can't do it for a discriminatory reason or for a retaliatory reason. You want to watch for these types of things, red flags, if you will, to protect against litigation. The first thing you should be looking at in a termination is whether the employee is in a protected class. And by protected class, I mean a group of employees that enjoys special protections under either federal or state law. It's only these characteristics that actually can give rise to an unlawful discrimination or a harassment lawsuit. In Minnesota, protections include race, color, creed, religion, sex, sexual orientation, disability, age, marital status, status with regard to public assistance, and others. You not only want to consider these protected classes, but whether during the employment, the employee has already made some sort of harassment or discrimination claim. You also want to consider whether the employee has taken any medical leave for an arrow through the head or otherwise. You want to be sure that the termination can't be tied in any way to the actual leave the employee took. The closer in time a termination is to medical leave, the more likely it is that you'll get a retaliation claim against